Here are games that slip through the cracks, forgotten by most but cherished by those who know their worth. Some of these are hidden gems, some are cult classics, and others are straight up overlooked. Let's dive into the 20 legendary games you probably forgot existed.
Green Squadron, move in.
Back in 2003, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic wasn't just a great Star Wars game, it was a great RPG. I remember popping it in on my Xbox, expecting just another hack and slash in the galaxy far, far away. But KOTOR gave me way more than I bargained for. As a player, you step into the shoes of a character whose destiny is as vast as the galaxy itself. It's your choice to determine whether you want to embrace the light or take the plunge into the dark side. The story? Legendary. It's not just about lightsabers and space battles. It's about politics, war, and the nature of the Force. The plot twists are still some of the most shocking moments I've encountered in a game. And sure, the combat's a little clunky by today's standards, but the real joy comes from the rich, complex narrative and the depths of your choices.
But at what cost, Admiral?
KOTOR proves that Star Wars isn't just about laser swords. It's about the struggle between good and evil, with a twist you won't see coming. Final Fantasy IX is like the RPG equivalent of a warm blanket on a cold day. After the grittier FF7, FF9 goes back to its medieval fantasy roots and nails it. From the opening scene, I was sucked into the whimsical, yet surprisingly emotional world of Gaia. Zidane, the protagonist, is a lovable rogue, with more heart than he lets on, while Vivi, the little black mage, is a walking reminder of why we love RPGs in the first place. Innocence and complexity in the same character. The game's story manages to weave in a lot of heart, humor, and surprisingly heavy moments. It's a game that doesn't just make you battle monsters, but makes you think about friendship, loss, and what it means to belong. But here's the kicker. It's still one of the most charming games I've played. The art style, the music, and the overall world design are all full of character. If you haven't played it yet, go back and give it a shot. You might be surprised at how well it holds up. When Dino Crisis dropped in 1999, it was essentially Resident Evil with dinosaurs. And yeah, that's as awesome as it sounds. You play Regina, a tough-as-nails protagonist in a high-stakes fight for survival on an island teeming with terrifying prehistoric predators. The gameplay follows the Resident Evil formula: fixed camera angles, tense exploration, and solving puzzles to progress. But what makes it stand out is the sense of real danger. The dinosaurs in this game are unpredictable, faster and scarier than zombies ever could be. Running from a T-Rex while solving environmental puzzles is what Dino Crisis does best. The AI for the dinosaurs, though not perfect, keeps you on your toes. You never feel safe. The game's often overlooked, but for anyone who loves survival horror with a twist, Dino Crisis was a breath of fresh air.
Hi Faith, welcome back.
Mirror's Edge was one of those games that tried something radically different. Parkour in first person, and it delivered. From the moment you take control of Faith, a free-running messenger in a dystopian city, you're thrown into a world of fluid movement and high-speed action. The parkour mechanics are intuitive. Running along walls, jumping across rooftops, and sliding under obstacles all feels natural and satisfying. The minimalistic art style sets the tone perfectly. Bright reds, whites, and blues make the city feel clean but cold. Mirror's Edge was bold. It was an experiment, and it mostly succeeded. If you're into something that breaks from the norm and offers a fresh perspective on movement-based gameplay, this is a game worth revisiting. It's not perfect, but its impact on the genre can't be ignored. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is a cult classic that was way ahead of its time and honestly is criminally underrated. You're thrust into the gritty streets of Los Angeles, where you play a newly turned vampire trying to navigate the complex web of vampire politics, alliances, and rivalries. The story is packed with moral choices. Your actions have consequences and you really feel the weight of your decisions. The voice acting is incredible and the characters are memorable. The graphics, by today's standards, have aged poorly, but the world building and atmosphere still hold up. The true strength of Bloodlines is its depth. You can approach missions in a variety of ways, using your vampire powers to either charm, intimidate, or outright fight your way through situations. Sure, there are bugs and the AI is questionable, but the experience is worth it. If you're into RPGs that let you carve your own path, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is an absolute gem. And if you haven't played it yet, it's time to sink your teeth in.
09, en route to...
Enslaved, Odyssey to the West is one of those games that didn't get enough love back in the day, but it's definitely worth a second look. The story is inspired by the classic Chinese tale Journey to the West, but with a post-apocalyptic twist. You play as Monkey, a physically imposing but sarcastic anti-hero who is tasked with protecting Trip, a young woman who has a knack for technology.
The slave headband. The one I fit on you.
Together they must navigate a world ruled by machines. The setting is gorgeous. Lush overgrown cities and crumbling structures make for some truly jaw-dropping environments. But it's the relationship between Monkey and Trip that drives the story. Their dynamic is one of the best parts of the game. Monkey starts off as a typical lone wolf, but gradually opens up as the bond between the characters develop. The action is smooth and fun, with Monkey using his staff to take on robotic enemies, all while trying to protect Trip, who provides support from afar. If you love action-adventure games with a strong narrative, this one's worth experiencing.
At least I can get my gear back.
Tales of Vesperia is one of the shining gems of the Tales series, and easily one of the best JRPGs of the 2000s. Set in a vibrant world filled with magical energy, you play as Yuri Lowell, a former Imperial knight who sets off on an adventure after a run-in with the powerful Blastia, an ancient device that powers much of the world. The game's battle system is a standout, real-time action combat that's fast, fluid, and fun. You can chain together attacks, cast spells, and use special moves, all while dodging and positioning for the perfect strike. It's a system that feels satisfying to master. Also, the story is classic JRPG fare, with themes of friendship, betrayal, and self-discovery, but it's the character moments that make it so engaging. Tales of Vesperia is an absolute joy to play. If you're into action-packed, emotionally driven RPGs, this one should be on your calendar.
Oh no.
Now, if you haven't heard of Okami, well, you might want to reconsider your life choices. Just kidding, but really, this game is one of those hidden gems that looks just as great today as it did when it first released in 2006. You're in control of Amaterasu, a wolf god, who has the ability to paint the world into existence, and trust me, when you paint, it feels like magic. The brush strokes, the vibrant colors, it's all so unique and visually captivating. I don't think there's another game that has this kind of visual identity. It's like a fusion of traditional Japanese art and modern game design, and that has somehow aged into something even more gorgeous. Seriously, if you want to take a trip to a beautifully crafted world that still blows people's minds today, look no further. Plus Amaterasu, it's just an adorable wolf. Why wouldn't you want to play as a magical wolf? Let's talk about Wind Waker now. This one's a bit older, originally released in 2002, but its cel-shaded art style has never looked outdated. The cel shading technique gave the game a cartoonish feel, but in the best way possible, like you're playing a Saturday morning animated series, except with dungeons, pirates, and a magical boat. The colors are vibrant, the characters' expressions are delightful. This game wasn't just ahead of its time, it was timeless in its design. The sea adventures, the island hopping, the wave-filled moments, you can get lost in its charm for hours. Wind Waker is a great reminder that you don't need ultra-realism to make a game look amazing. Let's switch gears to something a little more brooding. Batman Arkham Knight. This game released in 2015 and is still a visual masterpiece. Gotham City has never looked so detailed, from its rain-slicked streets to the towering skyscrapers. It's dark, gritty, and atmospheric, and it feels like the perfect Gotham game, one that could only exist in the mind of a comic book artist.
Chief had us heading back into the city, searching for civilians. He said we weren't leaving anyone behind.
The way the lighting works in this game is a huge highlight. When the Batmobile rumbles through the streets, it casts shadows across the dark alleys, and flickering neon signs contrast with the looming, rainy night sky. Plus, the combat looks stunning. It's brutal, smooth, and visually satisfying to string together combos. Even after all this time, Arkham Knight is a masterclass in atmospheric design, and it continues to stand tall against other superhero games. Now we've got one for the weebs. Octopath Traveler might not be your traditional isometric RPG, but its stunning visuals, engaging combat, and compelling stories earn it a spot on this list. The game's 8 protagonists each have their own journey, and weaving their story together is a rewarding experience. What stands out most is the game's combat system. Its turn-based mechanics are simple to learn but offer incredible depth. If you're looking for a visually striking RPG with a unique twist, then Octopath Traveler should be a good bet. If you're like me, and you've completed Final Fantasy VII and Chrono Trigger, and want something new and similar, this one is perfect. If you're a fan of historical city building, Anno 1800 is where it's at. This one lets you build a thriving city during the Industrial Revolution, complete with trade routes, massive ships, and plenty of opportunities for expansion. The game's economy is complex, and the visuals, gorgeous. The first time I played, I was like, wow, okay, this is gonna be easy. 10 hours later, I was desperately trying to get enough steel to build a massive ship, all while dealing with angry citizens and pirates trying to sink my fleets. Anno 1800 is one of those games that looks pretty on the surface, but underneath, there's an ocean of systems you need to juggle. Once you get the hang of it, it's so satisfying to see your city running like a well-oiled machine. Or at least not completely falling apart.
Morning, beautiful red planet. It's time.
Now, if you're tired of freezing on Earth and want to test your mettle on Mars, let's talk about surviving Mars. This one's all about building a colony on the red planet. And it's way harder than it sounds. You gotta deal with dust storms, freezing temperatures, and even the occasional malfunctioning dome that'll ruin your day. But honestly, I love it.
The concrete extractor.
The first time I played, I naively thought, hey, it's just a game about building a base on Mars, what could go wrong? A few hours in, I was watching my colony run out of oxygen and slowly suffocate in front of me. Fun stuff, but seriously, surviving Mars is a rewarding challenge if you love strategy and resource management.
We're taken into service.
Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, is an RPG that oozes personality. From its vibrant world to its memorable characters, everything here feels handcrafted. Now, I've completed the first pillars, and after sinking a few hours into this game, I still can't get enough of its nautical theme. Steering my ship through uncharted waters, managing my crew, and engaging in ship-to-ship combat, it's an experience unlike any other. One standout moment for me was uncovering the mystery of Ukaizo, the legendary lost city. I spent hours piecing together clues, and when I finally reached it, the sense of discovery was amazing. Deadfire is a game that rewards curiosity, and its richly detailed world makes every side quest feel meaningful. If you want a game that's full of all the sea monsters, pirates, and magical quests you want, this game is for you.
This place smells.
Now for another absolute classic isometric RPG. Icewind Dale is the unsung hero of the Infinity Engine collection. While it's more combat-focused than its narrative-heavy siblings, it still delivers a rich atmospheric experience. The snowy landscapes and haunting soundtrack makes you feel like you're trekking through the Forgotten Realm's harshest environments. I remember having the demo of this game all those years back, and being hooked on the depth of its starting area, and barely being able to tackle the game's challenging encounters. It's a game that rewards preparation and strategy, and every victory feels earned. If you love tactical combat and classic D&D tales, Icewind Dale is a must-play. It's just the right amount of storytelling and linear action, which doesn't overstay its welcome. GunZ is the kind of game you boot up just to try something different, and then before you know it, you're getting way too good at it, throwing yourself off walls like you're auditioning for the next Matrix film. Think Max Payne meets Unreal Tournament, but with way more flips. Gunplay here is like nothing else. You don't just shoot straight, you're ducking, flipping, and sliding through the air while launching bullets in every direction. It's chaotic, skill-based, and at times completely ridiculous in the best way. The game's core was a satisfying blend of skill, precision, and absurd acrobatics that felt so good once you got the hang of it. But man, was it a pain in the neck to get the hang of it. The learning curve is as steep as a wall you need to backflip off of to avoid being shot, and that's saying something. If you thought MDK sounded like the title of a game that never took itself seriously, you're absolutely right. I remember booting it up, thinking I was in for some generic 90s third-person shooter. What I didn't expect was to be greeted by a one-eyed protagonist wearing a spacesuit, a talking robotic dog, and a world of absurdity that felt like it was straight out of an acid trip. MDK doesn't hold back with its humor, often poking fun at itself and the medium. The game plays a wild mix of action, platform, and at times, puzzle solving, all wrapped in a bizarre story about saving the world from alien invaders. It's one of those games that knows it's ridiculous, but leans into it with such confidence that you can't help but enjoy it. The levels are fun, the action's satisfying, but let's face it, looking back, this game is pretty weird. Okay, I have to admit, Die Hard the video game isn't the most polished experience, but it's Die Hard. Yeah, I'm talking about the iconic first-person action game where you play as John McClane, running through Nakatomi Plaza, punching terrorists in the face and saving the day. Is it a technical marvel? Absolutely not. Was it fun in a nostalgic, guilty pleasure kind of way? 100%. The game's simplistic design doesn't do the Die Hard franchise justice in terms of depth, but it perfectly captures the chaotic, one-man army feeling of McClane. You can almost hear Bruce Willis yelling at you from the screen. Yippee-ki-yay, mother! Sure, it's a rough ride, but if you're a fan of the movie, or just looking for some cheesy fun, it's a bit of a hidden gem.
Your father will pay the price for destroying the Imperial rule.
Back in the day, Time Crisis was the arcade game everyone flocked to. And for good reason. Armed with a light gun in hand, you're forced to duck behind cover with the foot pedal. Pop out to shoot bad guys and repeat. It's simple, but it creates a feeling of constant tension. The gameplay is fast-paced, and each level presents increasingly ridiculous set pieces and explosive moments. Time Crisis wasn't just a shooter, it was an experience. There was something incredibly satisfying about taking down goons while narrowly dodging bullets by instinctively hitting the pedal. Don't let its simplicity fool you. The later levels get brutal. The enemy AI seems to have endless ammo, and you're going to have to memorize each stage if you want to survive. Time Crisis is a perfect example of how a well-designed, simple mechanic can create a ton of fun. It's just you and the bad guys, and a pedal for your life. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and join Nick in our next video. 15 best story-driven games you must play. See you in the next one.